Welcome back, fans. We're opening up the mailbag again. Let's do this. Should the Jets bench Sanchez? No. And I'm going to make this quick and simple. When you have no better options, you can't get rid of the guy. I mean, let's be completely real about the situation here. This is the bet they've made, and they've got a lie in it. Tim Tebow is not going to lead this football team in any way. If you put him in, you're going to have to change the offense. It's kind of like what Denver had to do last year. They had to completely alter their offense in a way that fit Tebow's style. To be honest, let's even go further than that. I don't really know what the Jet style is. This team, lives behind Rex Ryan. I want to be a ground and pound team, but they don't run the ball effectively. Sanchez is, then they want to spread the ball out, and Sanchez really doesn't throw the ball particularly well in the pocket. He seems like he has happy feet. He doesn't trust his receivers. And to be honest, I don't think the game planning and the play calling has been all that good. Tony Sparano has never called plays before in his life, especially at the NFL level. He's a former head coach of the Miami Dolphins. But that doesn't equate to calling plays. And this is a new situation for him. And I don't particularly think he's called a good game so far this year for the New York Football Jets. So the Jets have a lot of questions on the offensive side. Their receiving corps, do they trust it? Will these guys step up? Sanchez needs to play better. They've got to find a running game. And more importantly, they need to figure out what their identity is. Are they going to be a team that, like the old Baltimore Ravens, that are going to run the football, 60 times a game and rely on their defense and hold teams, 9 to 12 points and win a game 14, 12 or 9-6? Or are they going to be a team that try to, fit with the ages here and really spread the football around, really start to develop these wide receivers and whatnot? I don't know. I think Sanchez is a better player than he's played than he's shown in the past, 2 seasons. I think he's regressed in his development, and I think a lot of that has to do with the coaching staff. I thought Schottenheimer did a poor job with him. I thought he regressed him as a player, and I think Sparano trying to learn how to call a game has really hurt him in the same way. So the Jets have a lot more questions than switching and benching Mark Sanchez. When your options aren't when your options are limited and you don't have a lot of choices, there's nothing you can do. So you got to live with what you got. You got to try and develop the quarterback that you have, try to develop the receivers, and really figure out what is the identity of this New York Jets football team, because that is their biggest question moving forward. What are they trying to be? Until they define that, until they decide what they want to be, the Jets are going to continue to struggle. The Atlanta Falcons, I believe, are for real. This is a team that can do it all. They got a great running back in Michael Turner. Anytime they need to slow the game down, let's say they go into Chicago, they go into Green Bay late in the season, and it's cold and windy, and there may be some precip in the air, they can run the football. They've got a guy who they can give the ball to 25, 30 times a game and rely on him to ground the clock out. Earlier we were talking about the New York Jets not having an identity. The Falcons' offensive identity is explosive. They can do it all. They can run the football, and more importantly, we have currently the MVP in the league in Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has got great weapons at wide receiver and at tight end, and Tony Gonzalez, Julio Jones, and Roddy White. Phenomenal football players, and they're playing at a high level. They're playing at Pro Bowl caliber level. And Matt Ryan is spreading the wealth around. Dynamically, offensively, this team is second to none. There's no one in the league right now playing and clicking on all cylinders as they are. Defensively, they're doing a good job. They're led by John Abraham. They're doing a good job on defense. Mike Smith has the team really playing well. And credit to Mike Nolan. He's doing a really good job with this defense. So, the Atlanta Falcons are a really good football team. They're undefeated right now. They've got some tough games ahead of them. They got the bye week, too. They got the bye week behind them. But, this is a really good football team. They're playing well. They're hungry. And I expect them to continue their run. I can see this team finishing the season 13-3, 14-2, number one, seed in the NFC, and making a run. This is not like the Atlanta Falcons teams of before, where a lot of people are afraid to really give them credit, afraid to pick them. I'm not. This team has got really nice skilled players on the outside. They've also got the ability to run the football. Jacquizz Rodgers is a change of pace back for Michael Turner. So they've got some pieces here that they didn't have before. They're very much cohesive, and you can see this is a hungry football team. They know that this is an opportunity for them to make some noise, and they look like they really want to seize this chance. Well, the NHL lockout is tough. It's one of those things where it's going to drag on until one side either caves or we can come to an agreement. And will they come out of the lockout? I'm not. How they will come out of the lockout? I'm not sure. I'm one to think that it's going to be more on the positive side than on the negative, and here's my reasons why. The NHL is not like any other sport. There are really no fringe fans. You're either a hockey fan or you're not. I'm a huge hockey fan. I got a lot of hockey fan friends who feel the same way as I do, that once the game comes back, the real fans are going to be right there with it, because it's just the sport that it's such a polarizing sport that once you're in it and once you're for it, you never really leave it. But it's hard to get into it, or if you're not interested, you're not going to be, well, I'll tune in. Let's just take, for instance, the New York Rangers. You're near New York, and they were in a playoff push. The Ranger fans were out there in droves, but you never really saw it cross over into other, New York fans. Sure, there was New York support, but it wasn't like, well, we're going to get behind the Rangers and we're going to become lifelong Ranger fans. It's not like that. Hockey's not like that sport, where a sport like football, for instance, will start to grab players. And if the NFL went into a really long lockout and a strike, it may hurt, their first year, but they'll be able to gather those fans back. Hockey is not going to gather new fans. It is what it is. Sure, you'll get a few new fans here or there, but it's not like other sports where you'll get hundreds of thousands of new fans, every year, like football. And basketball is really starting to become that way because the controversy with LeBron last year, and now will he be able to repeat? So the lockout, it's dragging on. It's a tough situation for the NHL. The players really need to come together, and the owners really need to get together and settle this thing down, because their fan base really needs the sport. And for a fan base, or for a sport that's rated fourth out of all the major sports in the U.S., for them to have an extended lockout like this, it's really going to hurt them in the short term, and really in the long term, because it'll put them further behind the other major sports. And when you're looking at network rights and money involved with that, the longer you produce a lockout, the further you'll get pushed behind. The NFL, Major League Baseball, the NBA, even college sports now, whether it's college basketball or college football, who are really rivaling major professional sports teams and leagues for television rights. So the NHL really needs to get this done. They need to figure out a way to get everybody together, get them on the same page. Otherwise, they're in for a long run here. And that's going to do it for this week's version of the Mailbag. We'll tune in next week, see what we got here. We'll sit in front of my fireplace again, see my lovely pictures back there. All right?